Hey, good evening. So, the lowest form of popular culture, lack of information, misinformation, disinformation, and a contempt for the truth or the reality of most people's lives has overrun real journalism. Today, ordinary Americans are being stuffed with garbage. This was a journalist for the Washington Post named Carl Bernstein. His claim to fame was covering the Watergate scandal. I'm going to do a second one for you. Be careful who you choose as your hero or who you choose to deify, be it Clay Aiken or Barack Obama. You put all your hope and all your dreams and all your ideas about stuff into one human being. They're a human being. They're going to let you down. You can't make someone your hero because of something you read on the internet. The internet is not a source of information. It is a source of disinformation. Craig Ferguson. Okay, so today I've titled this one, What to Think About Drake. I'm speaking of Drake, the man who has been doing the conspiracy stuff lately for American Freedom Radio, etc., etc. So let me just jump right into it. So this new guy on the conspiracy scene, his name, he goes by as Drake. Obviously, that's an alias. Has been out talking about the mass arrests as this anonymous representative of the White Hats in the Pentagon. White Hats is code for people in the military who are anti-Illuminati and apparently pro-Constitution for our American military. He is yet to appear on camera. He is yet to give us specific information. He has a very thorough story which fits the narrative we understand about what we presume are the evil people and the plans in the world and how fixing it is going to work. All we know about him is that he's old and from the South, which tells us nothing, and you can fake an accent. I also have a personal grievance with the fact that he took the alias of Drake. Drake is basically short for dragon. A dragon gives you all sorts of connotations. We're talking about a guy talking about what's going to happen to the Illuminati. And this is the same circle of people that believe in aliens, some of them, and and Drake included believes in aliens. He's allegedly seen them, as he claims, and that also ties into the reptilian conspiracy. And the reptilians, as I understand it, are from the Draco constellation or something like that. Point is, he's got dragon as an alias, and he's supposed to be against the reptilians, is basically it. So why the hell would you use that as your alias? You might want to take something neutral. You don't have to be like, oh, my name's Angel. Okay, fine. You don't have to pretend to be the exact opposite of the devil, but you can at least not take a side in this perception you want to give of people, because all we know is his voice and his anonymous name. So that's the first thing. And believe me, I respect the fact that if he's telling the truth, people want to kill him and he's got to keep his mouth shut, or people are going to want to defame him the way that they tried with Bill Brockbrader. So, trusting Drake is based on trusting David Wilcock, because David Wilcock we do know. He's a man who carefully protects his sources and constantly talks about how people he knows in the truth movement get hurt, scared, or killed from time to time to intimidate him. This is all largely unproven at the same time. As far as Mr. Wilcock goes, I like his information. What I have seen on his recent work with the financial conspiracy, I think is pretty good. Damn near excellent. He works with Ben Fulford a great deal, and there's real things going on. And so, even if he's wrong, I don't want to use the cliche that a broken clock is right twice a day, but he's at the very least a glitching clock, which is right often, just not all the time. Because David Wilcock has had his getting it wrongs as well. But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's a cliche I do like. Anyway, the problem is, when it comes to telling us what is going to happen, excuse me, that was rude, but you're going to have to deal with that. It is always some obscure promise to protect the interests of the plan to defeat these people. So, what about Drake? What Drake says is going to happen, in my opinion, is the way it should happen. However, he has presented nothing to prove that is how it will go down if it does. The window of the start of events is closing in less than 2 weeks. He gave like some 30 to 45 day window from when he first came out and said 30 to 45 days you're going to start seeing these things happen. And the JP Morgan crisis is the only thing I've seen that hints to this thing actually happening. And what goes on with the JP Morgan thing, it could mean anything, really. It could just be a couple of bad apples. I'm sure it has some partial relationship to what else we've heard. It's just too complicated. But at any rate. So, Drake has told us exactly what every libertarian is hoping will happen when Ron Paul gets elected. That's what it feels like. Libertarian political philosophy. The things getting right back to the Constitution, etc., etc. It's almost completely geared towards that, in a sense, which is good. At the end of the day, I really believe that is the ultimate. That's me. That's my bias, my slant. I am an objective person, so I have looked at other sides and how I feel about them, but that's besides the point. I just have doubts that it's going to happen, is my issue, or at least happen in any way that's actually related to Drake. Drake's one thing he has that makes sense and of value is the financial reset adjustment planning. Such as joining a militia, building stronger communities, having resources and reserves for at least 2 weeks, that sort of thing. All that stuff I think is rock solid. Here's the problem with that. That is just common sense. It's anarchy prevention. I could have told you that. Libertarians want to live that way, dependent on no one, or at least not the state. So it's just like, I could go out there and say, yeah, start growing your own vegetable garden, etc., etc. Prepare to not use cash money anymore. Have things of real value you can barter with, etc. All that stuff. You don't need Drake for that. That just is adding common sense and good advice on top of everything else. That's the one thing that makes me like Drake. I have to say that much. That is rock solid. That is rock solid advice. Whether Drake's putting on a show or not, and whether at the end of the day the good things will happen that will need us to do that, I don't know. But long story short is that is really, really good advice, because we should never be caught with our pants down the day that the Federal Reserve goes bust. Whether they're going to try and fuck the economy over or not, let's prove that we don't need it. Let's tell them to go fuck themselves. So, although I reserve judgment, I do not believe this man is worth hanging on to his word, even in partiality. Even his retrospective answers are partly vague. When somebody asks about, and what about this information about the Russian troops coming, and da-da-da-da, and then he sort of gives an explanation about it, and I'm like, okay-ish. I'm just not entirely in love with all of these answers, for people trying to get a little bit out of him, trying to squeeze him for something of substance to work with. You know, it's like on one hand he's saying I can't tell you anything, but then on the other hand, here I'm here to answer your questions. This is like, yeah, okay, you're here to answer my questions, yet 85% of my questions you can't answer. And you know that those are really the only questions that we have. I mean, there's only so many ways that we want to or need to ask you about um, uh, any of this self-sufficiency advice, and most people aren't asking that for a reason. Believe me, we all kind of know it. I mean, anybody who lives in the West Coast that's decided to start a co-op knows what the hell they're doing. They're the people that have started co-ops are going to be the most set from the get-go because they've already got their own little farm and their own little internal economy going. That's great. You know, that's got to be part of libertarian dream. Why? Because I'm still running through Atlas Shrugged, and that's the libertarian Bible, and I've already given my spoiler. So, or have I? I probably haven't. I'm not going to spoil anything, but let's just say it involves a co-op situation. Anyway, I hope that my perspective has helped. Have a great rest of the weekend. Keep an eye on the Chicago Summit. All right? It's been a pleasure. I hope to see you soon. Take care.